US President Joe Biden there announcing the airstrike that killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. The US had been on his trail for decades. For more, let's talk to Bradley Bowman, who's Senior Director at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and Assistant Professor at the US Military Academy at West Point. Wow, welcome back to DW. Why did the US want to kill al-Zawahiri rather than arrest him and bring him to justice?
You know, there are good reasons for why we would want to capture him. It's interesting to note that the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, put out a $25 million reward for information leading to his apprehension and conviction. And if we had done that, we would have been able to interrogate him. If we had been able to send people in to capture him, we would have been able to collect files and information that he had with him, much as we did in 2011 with bin Laden. So that would have been preferable, but of course you would have to put Americans at risk to do that. And my strong guess is that the Biden administration was unwilling to take that risk. If you think about the risks associated with sending Americans into Kabul, they appears to have decided that they would rather just conduct this drone strike and take him off the battlefield rather than putting additional American lives at risk.
And we look at this, you've got to ask yourself, well, is that legal? Can America just go around? Well, clearly it can just go around the world killing people, but we have rules. Aren't we big on the rule of law?
We are, and I would argue respectfully, this is clearly consistent with the rule of law. It's certainly consistent under U.S. law in the 2001 authorization for use of military force after the United States was attacked and so many of our citizens were murdered. Let's remember that Ayman al-Zawahiri was involved in the 1998 bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. He was involved in the bombing of the USS Cole, where 17 of our sailors were murdered. And he was the number 2 of al-Qaeda on September 11, 2001, when so many of our citizens were killed. He was the number 1 al-Qaeda after bin Laden was killed. And so, you know, when you look at who he is, who he was, thankfully, what he has done, and the organization he was leading, any reasonable reading of international law and doctrines of self-defense tells me this is eminently defensible.
Right, and so that would be America's defense if it came to it, that in killing him abroad, we were defending ourselves at home.
Yes, right. That's the big idea here, I think, and certainly from my perspective, is that when people are trying to kill you, you have a right to defend yourselves. This goes to whether you're defending your home or whether you're defending your country. And we're going to be safer here at home, whether it's in Germany, the United Kingdom, or the United States, if we put pressure on terrorists over there who are plotting as we speak to do us harm.
And now, of course, we have the US and Taliban each accusing the other of violating this 2020 Doha Agreement that facilitated the withdrawal of international forces. And I suppose they can both be right, can't they?
No, right. And, you know, just, you know, I don't think that agreement that the Trump administration worked out with the Taliban was ever worth, frankly, the paper it was written on. You know, that document in part 2 insisted that the Taliban break with al-Qaeda and not provide them safe haven. I mean, that frankly, at the time was laughable and is laughable now. Of course, the Taliban provided safe haven to al-Qaeda in the months and weeks and days leading up to 9/11. They never broke with al-Qaeda during the 20-year war. They remained attached at the hip. Al-Qaeda helped the Taliban take parts of Afghanistan. And it's interesting that as soon as America left and our partners left, Zawahiri did what? He moved right into Kabul, right underneath the nose of the Taliban. And so, you know, I think the Trump administration wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, and they used that agreement to try to provide legitimacy to something that they were going to do anyway. The Taliban knew it, and they told the United States and the world what we wanted to hear.
Right. And briefly, so now we have Afghanistan's Taliban rulers as international pariahs. The country's economy is in meltdown, and they're facing a humanitarian crisis. They appear to have nothing to lose. So why wouldn't they shelter people they regard as their, quote, brothers in struggle?
It's a great question. Why would they stop? That's my point. They sheltered them before 9/11. They sheltered them for 20 years, and they're sheltering them now. So our presumption should be that they will continue to do so. And your viewers, I hope, are asking themselves, who else has come to Afghanistan since the United States and our allies left?
Right.
Not just Ayman al-Zawahiri. And are they training? Are they fundraising? Are they planning other attacks? I fear evidence and history suggests the answer is yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bradley Bowman from the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies.